Hello, everyone. Uh, Today's probably gonna be one of the shorter episodes because today we're a little under 400 words short of what we're supposed to be aiming for. Um, I just didn't get time to write today. I mean, I say that I did do quite a lot of painting, so obviously I would have had time. But I wanted to paint my little plastic man, and then I got a lot of things happen that were unforeseen, and I only had an hour to write, so I got 1,277 words, which is quite a lot for an hour, I will say, but it is short of the 1,667 that we're supposed to be aiming for. We're still very much on track to finish. We're 2,000 words ahead of where we need to be, but I think I'm gonna have to start writing at night again, because there's no end in sight to the unforeseen circumstances that mean I won't get long in the evening to do it. But that's fine. We can recover from this. We can keep going from here. Now, I didn't have any time to think about what I was going to write. Really, I just had to throw myself straight into it. So we're starting with like another flashbacky bit because we wanted to bring another one of the characters from previous back in, and because I find it, I can write pretty quick when I'm doing these sections. I don't know. I don't know why, but I tend to get through them quite fast. I tend to get really into them. And then we join Rob again at the end. The chapter's called Rob Asks for a Ride. This chapter will not make it into the finished thing. It was just 7 free words. Sorry, they're moving around again. They'll wait for me to start, you know. I'm sure of it. Anyway, the sky was a tumult of rolling cloud, punctuated by frequent bursts of lightning. Judging from the thunder, it was very close. Scathing gales and lashing rain whipped along the crowd gathering on the beach as Caldwell descended into the ocean. Buildings fell, ground cracked and slipped away from view. People were just about visible in the distance to those who'd had the forethought to bring binoculars, but there seemed no hope for any of them. Somewhere on the fringes of view, the beast stirred. And the crowd waited, fear having frozen them in place as the scene unfolded. It would have taken the emergence of a leader to unstick them. Unfortunately, the area found itself suddenly lacking in that department. The head of Caldwell and surrounding Toadwell had always been Luca Gollop, the enigmatic sociopath and prominent white-collar criminal who owned most of the land and most of the people. He'd barely made it through the morning, being torn apart shortly into the afternoon. Second in command would be Al Sykes, the man behind Caldwell's branding, aesthetic, and vision, well known to be Luca's number 2. He'd marched voluntarily into the ocean under some kind of spell, either drowning or something much worse at the hands of the beast. That left only Mag Smith, the money owner and drunk who could usually be found in the dingiest of the local pubs starting a fight with anyone who looked in her direction. She had, of course, never even existed in the first place. Ala Patricia Murdoch had the dubious honour of featuring on more regional top 10 most wanted lists than any other person on the planet. She'd had a particularly good year in 1996 when she'd committed more than half of all the nation's gun crime. In 2012, she'd finally retired and had been sent to Caldwell to hide in plain sight as the utterly unimpressive Mag Smith, while laundering money through the park and drinking. In 2020, she killed a man who was looking for her, kidnapped 1/3 of the town's police force, and finally died battling the abominations who rose from the ocean. In the meantime, April had quite enjoyed her company and found her outlook on life to be invigorating. I'm actually going to add to be, because it's 2 more free words. As far as April knew, that was the end of her story. She'd stuck around on the day of the Caldwell incident to join the crowd of spectators on that beach in Toadwell, rather than fleeing in Zach's van and vowing to leave the rest of the excitement up to the military. She might have learned different. The sea began to ripple and tear, a black shape moving under the surface, advancing towards the shore, Most in attendance were distracted by the entire resort town in the background being torn to pieces and dashed into the ocean by an otherworldly horror. Few were astute enough to notice the approaching figure. As she fought her way out of the murky depths of Coldwell's supposedly toxic waters and into the shallows, Alla's head became visible above the surface. From that position, her presence was a little easier to gauge as she walked calmly out of the ocean. She was wearing her best drinking clothes and carrying a thoroughly damp shotgun. By the time she'd made it up the beach, she'd become thoroughly noticed. Two thoroughlies. Someone asked her, "What should we do?" The source of the call was impossible to determine. The voice had been weak and scared. Alla knew what she was going to do. She'd go somewhere very far from here and find another place to lie low, again donning the persona of as is a strange one there. We wrote this all very quickly. Of Mag Smith, if such a thing was still possible. She'd find another town and another bar, and she'd die rich of liver failure, just like she'd planned. As for the rest, get out of the way, she told them. They parted obligingly, continuing to stare in her direction as she trudged damply by, boots squelching with each step, seaweed lightly adorning her hair and weaponry. They continued to watch her as she marched off into the horizon, eventually disappearing beneath the crest of a hill. When they looked back, the creature was closer. So, Al is the fourth and last survivor of Coldwell. So there were going to be like a whole subplot in previous about Ala, about Mag Smith turning out to be this horrible criminal, and it was kind of a B plot that were just, I don't know, not really a red herring, but it was just a thing going on in the background. It was a very interesting time for Coldwell. Mag Smith owned quite a lot of the town because she was rich off crime money. She didn't really, she didn't seem like she'd do a lot, but then before the events of previous, there was a shooting just outside the town in a small cabin. So that's being investigated during the story, which eventually leads to one of the characters who's a policeman being captured by Mag Smith. Well, by Ala. So yeah, she makes it. I haven't really decided how everything resolves, so this is all subject to change. But I like the image of like, because Ala's just basically indestructible. I like the image of her just marching out of the sea like the Terminator. Anyway, the phone rang straight to voicemail. This was all completely unplanned. This next bit. This was me just writing and hoping it turned out alright. So hopefully it turned out alright. Rob had a quick look around to make sure nobody was looking, and found that in fact at least two people were. A family in one of the apartments seemed quite distressed by the crazy man hiding out by the bins making frantic phone calls. They didn't look dangerous though. He was pretty sure it was someone else he was looking for. He called again. After it rang again to voicemail, he started to think Zach might be avoiding him. He decided to leave a message. Zach, answer the phone. That should do. He tried calling April instead, which he realised immediately was made difficult by the fact that he didn't have her number. Then we scene change. Rob called again. Zach decided he wasn't in a particularly Rob mood. It was getting kind of annoying though. A few seconds later, the phone notified him that he had a voicemail. Gleefully, he opened it, realising immediately that it was just Rob, and therefore beneath his concerns. The phone rang again. Zach, answer your stupid phone. April had a headache again, and Zach seemed to have picked the most annoying possible ringtone. She assumed this was meant as a deliberate attack against her. It's only Rob, Zach called back, declining the call and wishing he'd never given Rob his number. He'd pretty much been looking to forget about the guy the moment he'd walked out the door. Then why aren't you answering? She wouldn't understand. Zach's answer was a vague shrug. The phone rang again, and April snatched it off him before he could hit decline. Scene change. The phone finally responded appropriately. Hi, Rob. This is April. What's going on? Rob looked back to the couple watching him from their window. He was pretty sure they were calling the police, and began to think about Zach's unwillingness to work with the establishment. Were they perhaps tied with the people who might be after him? Rob, are you okay? The phone tried again. Rob realized they might have hung up and responded quickly. I think I need help. He wasn't acting rationally. This was all paranoia brought on by overexposure to Zach. Then again, what if everyone was out to get him? What's going on? That's April. Probably should mention that. Did he have reason to believe someone had actually broken into his apartment? Was there really no other explanation for the missing hair? Why hadn't they taken him out when they had the chance? What if it was just a harmless burglar who'd left upon realizing Rob had fuck all to steal? He was poisoned by Zach's paranoia. It was contagious. I think someone broke into my flat, he explained, not sure the extent to which he truly believed it. Are you sure? No. He felt like time was passing quickly around him. The wait on the other end of the line stretched on into what felt like minutes, hours. Just hold on for 1 second, please, April told him very officially. Scene change. What did you do to Rob? April asked Zach. He wasn't sure if she was serious, but there wasn't a hint of anything other in her tone. What do you mean? Zach responded calmly, only considering one of his signature retreats. You've broken him. She was covering the phone up with her hand. Zach wondered to what extent this actually dampened the sound. He's freaking out right now. Well, he's affected, isn't he? And that's all we got. I've just put. I've just started eating a gummy sweet for no reason, which is going to make it slightly more difficult to talk. And I'm not good at it at the best of times. As you probably realize if you've been watching the previous 21 days. But that's what we got. There's a distinct amount of ASMR going on here, so I'm gonna stop quickly. So, I don't know why I did it. It just happened. Anyway, I'm gonna immediately jump right back into it, and I'll see you next time when we'll have enough words. That's a promise. Thanks for being here.